بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers, very briefly to recap some of what we done last week. So last week we started a lesson by covering, and obviously this is all in the context of Kitab al-Siyam. We're discussing, the book of fasting. And we started describing the book of fasting by first of all giving ourselves a bit of encouragement and mentioning some of the many ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ that talk about the reward of fasting. And we mentioned that fasting here, we're going to deal with fasting in the context of fasting in the month of Ramadan. So we know there's many types of fasting: compulsory fasting, which is one of the fasting in the month of Ramadan, and also fasting that is optional. But here we're talking specifically about the fasting that is obligatory, which is during the month of Ramadan. So we spoke about the rewards, and some of the rewards that we said, for example, was that fasting will be an intercession for the slave in the day of judgment. Whereas when it will say, the fasting itself would speak and will say, "Oh Lord, I stopped him from eating and drinking during the day, so let me intercede for him." So fasting will be coming to the day of judgment not just as a concept, but as something quite real that you've done in dunya and will intercede for you, inshallah, in the day of Qiyamah. We also mentioned that the smell coming from the mouth of the fasting person is better in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the scent of musk. Then we went on and we spoke about the Islamic months, because obviously we fast in the month of Ramadan, so we briefly talked about, and described the order of the Islamic months. I don't know if you recall that. Then we went on to describe out of these 12 months, there are certain amounts of months that are called Ashhur al-Hurum, the sacred months. And we mentioned that these are 4 in number. So when we described what these were last week. We also then started, like the ulama, like the scholars, whenever they start a book, they start always by describing whatever the term is that they're going to be explaining in linguistic terms and in Islamic terms. So we spoke about fasting in linguistic terms, and we said fasting linguistically means what? Imsak in Arabic, and in English, what does it mean? Abstention. Okay? And we give them proofs from the Quran to sustain this meaning. Then we spoke about fasting in the divine context, in the Islamic context, and we said that in the Islamic context, it is the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by abstaining from eating, drinking, and any other actions that nullify fasting before the break of dawn till sunset. And we mentioned something very specific about this ta'rif, that it was very important. Which part was it? Do you recall? The fact that, it is a worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why is this important when it comes to ibadat, when it comes to, to worship, any act that we do? Because it differentiates a mere person from saying they're just not eating to a person the person that is actually fasting. So someone that just decides from before dawn until sunset, they say, "I'm not eating," but they don't have the intention that they are, fasting, we don't call this fasting in Islam. So it needs to be done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and therefore the intention, needs to be present. Then we went on to say that fasting is obligatory during the month of Ramadan. And in order to sustain this, we presented 3 types of proof. We presented proofs from the Kitab, from the Quran, we presented proofs from the Sunnah, and we presented proofs from the Ijma', from the consensus of the scholars, and we spoke about that last week. Then we went on to discuss when fasting was first prescribed. And we said fasting was first prescribed in what year? The 2nd year, Hijri. That's when we said that fasting was prescribed. And then we asked how many Ramadans or Ramadanat did the Prophet ﷺ fast? And we said he fasted 9 Ramadanat. Ahsantu. Then we went on and started discussing about when does fasting start. what are the triggers that let us know that we should start fasting the month of Ramadan? We said that there are two triggers. The first trigger is what? The first one is رؤية الهلال. The first one is the sighting of the moon, of the crescent moon, of the new month that decides this is the month of Ramadan. If we don't sight the moon, we move on to the second one, which is إكمال شعبان 30 يوم. The completion of the month of Sha'baan, which is the month that precedes Ramadan, to be 30 days, and this determines. So if we go out to try and see the moon and we don't see the moon, then we wait until the next day. If we don't see the moon, then we say, okay, it's 30 days of Sha'baan, therefore we start fasting, the day after that. Okay? So that's what we briefly covered last week, brothers and sisters. Now, with regards to the month of Sha'baan, there are some ahadith narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, which forbid fasting in the second half of Sha'baan, except in two cases. So what day are we now in of Sha'baan? Today it's the 21st of Sha'baan. We're in the second half, and we're past the 15th. Why is it? There are some ahadith on this second half of Ramadan that say you should not, specifically pick this second half to start fasting. Except in two cases. Those who have an habitual pattern of fasting. So those that fast usually which days? Mondays, Thursdays, and Ayyam al-Biyad. So those who normally fast, Mondays and Thursdays, and the 13th, 14th, and 15th of each month, the middle of the month, Islamic month approximately, these people, when it comes to the second half of Sha'baan, they do not have to apply this hadith that we're going to mention now. So if you normally fast Mondays, Thursdays, and you say, you know what, now it's the 17th, and I want to fast because it's a Monday, and I almost fast Mondays anyway, then there is no problem. This hadith does not apply to that we're going to mention now. The second exception to this consensus of the ulama that you should not be fasting specifically the second half of Sha'baan, right, is for those who join the first half of Sha'baan. So imagine, you obviously know that fasting a month of Sha'baan is a sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ used to fast the month of Sha'baan, almost all of it, or some say he used to fast the whole of Sha'baan. But the most correct opinion and explanation of the scholars, he almost used to fast almost the whole of the month of Sha'baan, not every single day. But if for those who started fasting in the beginning, those who start fasting in the beginning of the month of Sha'baan and they carry on into the second half, alhamdulillah, then this hadith also does not apply to them. The Prophet ﷺ says, لا تقدم رمضان بصوم يوم أو يومين إلا رجل كان يصوم صوما فليصوم. Al-Bukhari and Muslim, narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, said, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, do not anticipate Ramadan by fasting 1 or 2 days before it begins. But if a man habitually fasts, and this is what we just mentioned now, habitually fasts even Mondays, Thursdays, and Ayyam al-Biyad, or habitually fasts, he started fasting in the beginning of Sha'baan, then let him fast. Right? This is specifically about the days just before Ramadan. Right?
You mean to join Ramadan with
Right, Sha'baan with Ramadan. So this is a prohibition. But there is a further prohibition. And this was in Sahih Bukhari Muslim. There's a hadith in Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, and Ibn Majah, narrated that Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when Sha'baan is half over, then do not fast. And this hadith was classed as Sahih by Sheikh Albani. So, recapping very quickly, we have two hadiths here. One of them prohibits us, say for example, to start fasting. I want to start fasting on the 27th or the 28th of Sha'baan. And then I want to carry on and connect Sha'baan to Ramadan. This is not permissible. The second thing is to specifically, choose the second half of Sha'baan for fasting. I normally don't fast. Now, there comes the month of Sha'baan, I decide that I want to start fasting from the 15th onwards. just because I want to. This is also either, the ulama either say, some of them have different. Some of them say it's makruh. Some say it's disliked. They don't say it's haram. Some of them say it's makruh, but some of them go further and say it is not allowed completely. But for those who habitually fast, then this does not apply to them. Is that clear, brothers and sisters? So, my encouragement is that you fast during the month of Sha'baan. But if you decide to start fasting only on the second half, just bear this thing in mind. Okay? Does the fasting, I have a question for you. Does the fasting of one person, when one person sees the moon and they start fasting, is this enough for everyone else to start fasting? That's a question. The ulama, brothers and sisters, they have differed in 4 scholarly opinions when it came to this question. Let me break it down to you. The first opinion is that the sighting anywhere in the planet. So this is similar to what we've discussed last week, but we're going to go into it with a bit more depth this week. So the context is someone in some part of the world has seen the moon, right? And they have informed you that they've seen the moon. Are you obliged to follow the opinion of that person that saw the moon and it's enough for everyone else to start fasting? Or you say, no, you saw the moon, but I didn't see the moon. Specifically here, the detail that we're going to go on about is not 2 people sitting in the same area where they live in. It's someone that's come from another country or another part of the world, approaches you and tells you, I've seen, the hilal. I've seen the moon. More modernly, someone tweets you. Your friend in Somalia, your friend in Pakistan, your friend in Saudi Arabia, Yemen, tells you, I saw the moon. And you tell him, but I haven't saw the moon. I haven't seen the moon yet. Do you start fasting or do you not start fasting? That's the question that we're trying to face. The ulama have differed into 4 opinions. The first one is that a sighting anywhere in the planet suffices for everyone else to start fasting. رؤية الهلال في أي مكان في الأرض يكفي لكل واحد يعني يبدأ الصوم. معي يا شيخ عبد الرحمن? Okay, this is the first opinion. هذا يعني القول الأول. طيب. The second opinion is that only those who see it and are part of the same locality and latitude should fast. This is the most correct and sound opinion. And I'm going to go into the details as to why it is, and I'm going to substantiate it with dalil. The second one is that, or the third one, is that the people should follow the opinion of the imam in charge. So if the imam tells you, you should start fasting, whether you've seen the moon or not seen the moon, you start fasting. This is an opinion. The other 4th opinion is that people should follow the opinion of the Islamic Association in charge of these matters. So say for argument's sake, we had an Islamic Association of Northern Ireland that was in charge of all affairs in our country, and they said, you should start fasting tomorrow, then we all start fasting. Or more specifically, an Islamic association, for the UK and Ireland. Let's go even a bit wider. So this is the 4th opinion. طيب, the ulama, and specifically here, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah said, تختلف مطالع الهلال باتفاق أهل المعرفة بالفلك. فإن اتفقت لزم الصوم وإلا فلا واستدلوا بالنص والقياس. أما النص فهو قوله تعالى فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصم. فيقول والذين لا يوافقون من شاهده في المطالع لا يقال إنه شاهده لا حقيقة ولا حكما والله تعالى أوجب الصوم على من شاهده. طيب هذا يعني استدلال الأول. الاستدلال الثاني. So Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, when speaking about this matter, he broke it down beautifully. And to substantiate the qawl, the opinion that only those who see it and are part of the same locality and same latitude should fast, he says the following, that that you should only start fasting if you have actually seen, and he says, my proof and evidence can be seen in both kitab, in the Quran, and qiyas. What is qiyas? Analogy, exactly. So I will substantiate by qiyas and analogy and by the book. As for Quran, he says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْ. He says, Allah says in the Quran, for those who witness the crescent moon, then they should fast. Here, witness, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ, and whoever has witnessed the crescent moon. طيب. And he says, والذين لا يوافقون من شاهده في المطالع لا يقول أنهم شاهدوه لا حقيقة ولا حكما. Those who are in different places and different latitudes of the earth cannot be said that they have seen it. True, even truly, they have not truly seen it. So if you take the call of someone that is in India and he told you he's seen the moon, but you have not seen it. But Allah says in the Quran, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيُصُمْ. Whoever of you sees and witnesses the moon, then he should fast, but you have not seen it. And you have not witnessed it, therefore you should not fast by the saying of someone else that is in another part or in another latitude of the earth. This is his first dalil, which is evidence from the Quran. Then he says, وقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم صوموا لرؤيته وافطروا لرؤيته فعلل الأمر بالصوم برؤية ومن يخالف ما رآه في المطالع لا يقال إنه رآه لا حقيقة ولا حكما. Shaykh al-Islam carries on, he says, the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam to further substantiate my argument is that he sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Sumu li ru'yatihi." Whenever you see it, yani the crescent moon of the new shahr of the month of Ramadan, then you should fast. Wa aftiru li ru'yatihi. Whenever you see the moon, the moon of the shahr of Shawwal, then you should what? You iftar, you should stop your fasting. طيب. فعلل الأمر في الصوم برؤية. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the fact that that you should start fasting with regards to the sighting. So if you have not seen it, then you should not start you should not start fasting. Is that clear? He goes on. ابن عباس وفيه أن فاضل بنت حارث بعث قريبا إلى معاوية بالشام. كله بالعربي حتى يستفيدون العرب منها. بعث قريبا إلى معاوية بالشام فقدم المدينة من الشام في آخر شهر إيش؟ في شهر رمضان. في آخر الشهر فسأله ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما عن الهلال فقال رأيناه ليلة الجمعة. هذا فين؟ في الشام. رأيناه يعني ليلة الجمعة. فقال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما لكننا رأيناه ليلة السبت. فاختلفوا، هم رأوا يوم الجمعة وليلة الجمعة وهم ليلة السبت. طيب، وهناك في الشام وابن عباس فين؟ في المدينة. طيب، فلا نزال، وهذا هو الشاهد، فلا نزال نصوم حتى نكمل 30 ايش؟ يوما من اي شهر؟ شهر رمضان، او نرى ايش؟ هلال اي شهر؟ شوال. احسنتم. فقال له قريب اولا لا تكتفي برؤية معاوية وصيامه؟ رؤية معاوية في اي بلد؟ في الشام. طيب، ألا تكتفي بهذه الرؤية يا ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما؟ ونحن نعرف من هو معاوية ونعرف من هو ابن عباس رضي الله عنه، من كبار الصحابة. طيب، لا. فقال لا. من الذي قال لا؟ ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما. لا، هكذا أمرنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. فهمتم الحديث؟ Let me translate it in English. Ibn Abbas رضي الله عنه, just to contextualize, was in Medina. Muawiyah was where? In Sham, which is now modern day Syria, Palestine, Lebanon. In all these countries we call them Sham. طيب. So Qurayb was sent, was one of the Sahaba, he was sent in a mission to Sham. He was sent to Palestine, to do some work, and from Fadl, he goes back and he does a business for her, and this is during which month? The month of Ramadan. He gets there and they witness the sighting of the month of Ramadan. And they witness the sighting on which day? Of the week? They witness on a Friday. So he goes to Shem on his travel. He gets there and people witness the sighting of the moon on a Friday. He performs the fasting with them. He comes back, and when he arrives in Medina, he informs Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma that that we have seen the moon in Sham, which is a fair distance from Medina. We have seen the moon on Friday. And Ibn Abbas tells him, but however, we have seen the moon on which day? Saturday. We've seen it on Saturday. So they did not agree upon the sighting of the moon. Right? So what does Ibn Abbas say, or what does Qurayb say to him? But do you not follow the word, the sighting is the sighting of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu in Sham. Is this not sufficient for you to determine the beginning and the ending of the month? This is what he's trying to say. What does Ibn Abbas say to him? He says to him, no. Okay, I understand that you've seen the moon on a Friday. However, we've seen it on a Saturday. And he goes, هكذا أمرنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is how the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم taught us. طيب, مستحيل. It is impossible for Ibn Abbas to do something and say, the Prophet told us to do so. Other than it is the truth. What do we derive from this in the context of what we're talking about? We say that because Sham is obviously, in a different part of the world, to Medina, much further north, right? It would have been a few days travel back then. Now it's only maybe 2 hours, I don't know, travel, if that, or 3 hours, I don't know. But what we want to take from this is that someone else in a part of the world saw the moon, but you didn't see it. You are then informed that they have seen the moon. Do you follow what they said? According to the opinion of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, you don't follow it. You follow it, what? You follow the sighting of the area and locality where you are in. Are you with me?
Yeah.
فهمت الحديث يا شيخ عبد الرحمن؟ أحسنت. I still want to finish the istidlal. I still want to finish the call of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah when it comes to the qiyas. We said he had proof from the kitab, he also gave the sunnah, and there's also qiyas, there's also analogy. He says, وَأَمَّا الْقِيَاسِ فلأن التوقيت اليومي يختلف فيه المسلمون بالنص والإجماع. توقيت الصلاة اليومي يختلف فيه المسلمون بالنص والإجماع. فإذا طلع الفجر في المشرق فلا يلزم أهل المغرب أن يمسكوا لقوله تعالى وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر. فهمتم؟ طيب, I'll translate it in English. He says with regards to analogy, Shaykh al-Islam says, طيب, when it comes to your daily prayers, when a person in the east of the world, when it's Maghrib for them, and a person in the western part of the world, do you tell them to pray Maghrib as well? Because you tell them, hey brother, the sun is set here, so pray Maghrib. But he doesn't know, for me, the sun has just come up. He says, from this we draw an analogy. If for our daily prayers, we don't follow the sighting of the moon or the sun rising and setting across the world, so we also don't do it when it comes to fasting. Either starting it or breaking fast. You with me with the analogy? Do you see the analogy? This is what he says, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he says, to substantiate this, the verse where Allah says, and eat and drink until the white thread of dawn becomes distinct to you from the black thread of night. You eat and you drink until you see the white thread of dawn and becomes distinct from the black thread of night. You don't follow someone else's opinion. If the muezzin gives adhan in Makkah, you don't say to people, here it's time to pray. You wait for the muezzin in your country, in your locality, to say that, it's time and the time has entered. You with me with that analogy? I think he also says here, وَلَوْ غَابَتِ الشَّمْسِ في المشرق فليس لأهل المغرب الفطر. فكما أنه يختلف المسلمون في الإفطار والإمساك اليومي فيجب أن يختلفوا كذلك في الإمساك والإفطار الشهري. وهذا قياس جلي. وهذا كلام شيخ العثيمين. هذا قياس جلي. He says, the analogy goes on about his analogy because people, differentiate themselves when it comes to the daily prayers and the daily times of salat. Then it is also compulsory that there is some differentiation when it comes to the beginning and ending of the monthly fasting. Okay, so I also have one further thing to add to this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has what we call al-maqasid al-sharia. What are the purpose and what are the main goals of Sharia? If one of the main goals of our religion was that we pray all at the same time, then Allah would have made it so. If that's what Allah wanted, for us to pray every 1.5 billion Muslims in the world to pray Fajr at the same time, Allah would have arranged the world to be so. But it was Allah that created the world. So Allah, when He created the world, He knew that people in Indonesia are not going to pray Fajr at the same time as people in the USA. If He wanted it to be the same, He would have done it. The same thing when it comes to Shahr Ramadan. We have this problem that we think, okay, subhanAllah, we'd like the whole world, the whole Muslims to be fasting at the same time. Who told you that this is what Allah wanted? If Allah wanted that, He would have made it so that you see all the moon at the same time. There is no problem. But yet He mentions very specifically that this is done with ru'yah. So we should be pleased with what Allah has been pleased with us for. So if He is satisfied that we pray salat at different times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also pleased that we start fasting at one time and we celebrate Eid at different times. This is for people in different localities. And I've mentioned before, for people within the same locality and latitude, they should follow the one sighting. Is that clear?